What is a ghost? Where is it? And how to expel ghosts. Ghosts, or Mara, are symbols in Buddhism used to depict a deity or divine being of supreme power and strength. Ghosts are the lords of all desires, cravings, and lusts for every kind of bodily pleasure. Ghosts not only symbolize the manifestations of desires, but also the deeply hidden cravings within our consciousness. Therefore, ghosts reside within our flesh, within our consciousness. Although the ghosts hidden within us are very cunning, if we pay attention, we can still see them. For instance, due to anger, a moment of thoughtlessness, or excessive craving, we commit a reprehensible act. Afterwards, we regret it and think that we never imagined we could commit such a terrible deed. At that moment, we feel as if some ghost prompted us to do it, rather than us being truly that awful. This is when we have seen the ghost. Ghosts also have another name, less mentioned in scriptures, which is the ghost of lust or the ghost of love. This ghost appears in an amazingly beautiful form, giving rise to all kinds of images, colors, and sounds. This ghost offers us illusions created by itself, bringing us all the splendid realms of samsara and all the worldly happiness. The troublesome and complex issue is that the ghost of love never pays attention to the consequences of what it creates. It is very generous, giving without regret. Yet, the consequences of those illusions it bestows upon us are merely suffering. The happiness of a couple gives rise to more suffering, such as deceit, ego, heartbreak, and suicide. The ghost does not care about those sufferings. It gives us pleasure, while simultaneously fostering our craving for pleasure. The consequences are extremely complex and varied beyond description. The ghost is both a creator and a destroyer in this sense. When looking at the aspects listed above, we can immediately understand that the ghost resides right in our minds. It exists within our consciousness, within our flesh, and in the functioning of our body and mind. In other words, the ghost is not an external entity. This means that without us, there would be no ghost. The stronger and more complex our ego, the more numerous and fierce the ghosts become. If we continue reasoning along that line, we will see that ghosts are much more numerous and diverse. They manifest throughout this cycle of existence. Are you wondering why I haven't mentioned types of ghosts that can make one's hair stand on end, scream and run away, or make one's limbs icy and drenched in sweat? Let's muster a bit more courage to explore these kinds of ghosts, shall we? I'll give a few specific and simpler examples of the kinds of ghosts that often appear to intimidate ordinary people, including children and adults alike. For instance, when you step into a dark room and see a ghost with flowing hair, a pale face, glaring eyes, and a chilling smile in the corner, if you calmly approach it without fear, you won't see it as you get closer, because in reality, it's just illusions created in your mind, amplified by the mysterious shadows feeding your imagination. If you still hesitate to approach, simply turning on the light will make the ghost disappear. On the contrary, if you scream and run away, the ghost will surely chase after you, and you definitely won't outrun it because you're carrying it with you. It's in your mind, in your body, giving you goosebumps. What's worse, you might recount seeing this ghost in vivid detail to someone else. This is how we introduce the ghost we saw to another person. Perhaps they'll be a little scared but intrigued, keeping the story in their mind and later telling it to a third person. The third person tells it to a fourth, and with each retelling, the ghost becomes more terrifying and sinister. Its eyes widen, its teeth lengthen, and its chilling smile grows. Who knows? After a few rounds of storytelling, the ghost might end up being recounted back to us, and we might even fear it more than the original ghost we saw firsthand. Lord Buddha provided an easily understandable example. When passing by a darkened doorway, we may startle and recoil upon seeing what appears to be a snake. Yet upon closer inspection, it turns out to be just a coil of rope. The snake was in our mind, just as the ghost is in our mind. When we sleep deeply, sometimes we see ghosts and cry out, jolting awake to find no ghost at all. When we lie in bed with eyes closed in a darkened room, how can we see? It is because our consciousness perceives. The image of the ghost arises from our subconscious, originating from latent, turbulent emotions, passionate desires, and clinging to illusions of resentment. For the highest practitioners, such as the great meditative masters, following the Tibetan Buddhist traditions, they rarely experience dreams. If they do, they only perceive reactions filled with deep compassion, loving kindness, and tolerance towards the scenes unfolding in their dreams. However, absolutely, they do not encounter ghosts or anything that induces fear in them. In summary, the ghost resides within our mind. It is the master of all our thoughts and intentions. It incites and supports the operation of karmic consequences. Our body and mind serve as the foundation for this operation, influencing external circumstances, that is, conditions, to help karma ripen into fruition. Therefore, the ghost is essentially the ego hidden within us, controlling us. Put simply, that ghost is none other than ourselves. That ghost represents ignorance, the base instincts of desire, craving, clinging, hatred, and delusion. It agitates and urges us to satisfy its demands by any means necessary, leading to suffering. The ghost always reminds us to protect our ego. It is cunning and crafty, using either harsh commands or sweet and endearing tones depending on the person, situation, and circumstance. Its purpose is to deeply imprint the presence of the ego in our mind. The ghost is the dominating ego that teaches us greed and selfishness, turning us into perpetrators of destruction and deception. This is how the ghost has created the cycle of existence. It disguises itself in ignorance to roam freely in our consciousness, creating confusion and delusion, prompting us to create karma that binds us tightly to the realm of existence. In order to expel that ghost from our consciousness, it essentially means eliminating the entire cycle of existence. In summary, the operation of the wheel of rebirth is all controlled by the ghost. This machinery is designed by the interaction of countless karmic consequences. Only through spiritual practice aimed at achieving clarity and purity of mind can we dismantle and break down the structure of this machinery and drive the ghost out of our heads. Using spells or exorcism rituals not only becomes futile but also adds to our confusion and fear. If you want to expel a ghost from a room, there's no ghost to expel. But if you aim to chase away the ghost from your mind, it's too cunning to be driven out, because it knows how to hide behind the dense veil of ignorance within us.